Hello everyone, glad to be with you today. We're going to talk about invisible people and Negroes. We're going to be thinking about diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion means there are many different people in our lives with many different attributes. And we can enrich our personal and working lives when we take time to appreciate the differences that we encounter in all of those people. When we think about diversity and inclusion, we have three questions we're going to ask ourselves. What is it? What's in it for me? And what should I do about it? Well, what is it? What are we talking about? We're talking about living and working with everyone around us. What's in it for me? Why should I care? Well, you should care because we can have easier and more effective teamwork when we appreciate the differences in our teammates. We can also have happier relationships with our family, our friends, and our neighbors if we learn to appreciate and accept their differences and include them. What can you do about it? How could you help yourself in this issue? Well, your attitudes may have an issue. You may have some hidden attitudes you don't even recognize. Attitudes that could stop you from appreciating those differences. And you also should be able to take small efforts every day to help you accept these differences. In fact, we've got 3 actions for relationships to talk about. By the numbers, Christians have 10 commandments and Muslims have 5 pillars, but everybody in our audience here has 3 actions that they can take to make diversity real. The 3 actions we should take in every relationship are, first of all, trust. Go into that relationship with an assumption that you could trust the other person, at least in the context of the relationship. The second action is honesty. We can be honest with ourselves and honest with the other people in our group if we remind ourselves that honesty is the best policy. And finally, trust, respect. Respect is something you can show to every person you meet, every person you work with, because respect will come back to you and it will improve the way you work together. Don't just look at others, see them. And those 3 actions will help you see them. What you can do about diversity is see others, don't just look past them. Put the 3 actions into each of your working relationships and your personal relationships at home. What are those 3 actions that we can all talk about, that we can all take? Trust, honesty, respect. Let those 3 actions shape your attitudes, and they will shape the way you interact with others and the way others interact with you. All right, tell me, what are those 3 actions? They are, again, trust, honesty, and respect. Here's a story about what I mean.
Hi Mom, how are you? I'm good, Mom. Yeah, I've just packed all the documents. I'm just waiting for the cab. Yeah, thank you, Mom. Thank you so much. Bye, take care.
Hi Priyanka,
Hello.
I'm Moni. I'm your new manager.
Nice to meet
It's your first day, right?
you. Yeah.
Okay. So you would be needing some help in setting up and all that.
Okay.
I'll introduce you to Kavya.
Oh.
Kavya? Okay. She's Priyanka.
Hi, Priyanka. Hi, Kavya.
She's new joining.
Okay.
Please introduce her to the rest of the team. Okay. And for any other help, please reach out to me. Okay. And once again, welcome to the MC.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, hi, I'm Priyanka. I'm a new joinee.
Nice
What's
to
so
meet you.
special? You're dressed in ethnic wear.
Yeah, we are celebrating Diwali here today. I got some sweets you can have.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome to the team, Priyanka. You know, EMC believes in diversity and inclusion, where we celebrate all the festivals, which help us to build a good team. Welcome to the team.
Thank you so much.
Hey, why don't you pull a chair and join us?
Sure.
Hey, it's Nama's time. I have to go for prayer, so why don't you take my seat?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to go to IT department to get my bag. Can you just guide me?
Sure. Okay, let's calculate.
Okay.
Go to other building
Fine.
and go to 8th floor. Can you?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much.
Anyone have a personal story related to this video that they'd like to share with us? Well, I have one. My own personal story is when I went to college. I met a person out there who became my best friend during my freshman year. And we did a lot of things together. That person was in a wheelchair. I had never met anybody in a wheelchair. Honestly, I had never in my entire life met a disabled person or a handicapped person. But I did then. And I learned that that wheelchair, while it might be there, wasn't an impediment to a good relationship. And then years later, right here in FSA, one of my bosses was in a wheelchair. Again, made no difference. We used to talk about the chair. But because of my earlier experience, it was comfortable and easy for me to deal with. Are we different or similar? Essential similarities ought to overcome ineffective or superficial differences. And that suggests that we should take the 3 actions with everyone, not just people most like ourselves. Seeing a person not superficially different, not superficial differences. Artificial categories to which we arbitrarily assign people. Made up standards against which we compare people. We all do this. We all have these unconscious categories that we put people into. We all have these unconscious standards against which we compare people. Differences that shouldn't matter, such as egos.
The movie Straight Outta Compton comes out. I'm so excited. I'm from LA, so this movie is particularly close to my heart. I saw it in theaters 3 times. So as I'm perusing the internet, devouring everything I can about this movie, I come across the casting call. Now, this movie has already come out, and I'm no actress, so I wouldn't actually audition. But I just wondered, hypothetically, if I did, what role would I get? So I look at the casting call, and I'm going down the categories, and I start at the top, the A girls. The casting call reads, "These are the hottest of the hottest. Models. Must have real hair, no extensions." Well, since I have 20 inches of Brazilian hair extensions on my head, doesn't quite apply to me. But that's fine. I go to the next category, the B girls. The casting call reads, "These are fine girls. Long, natural hair, must have light skin." Beyonce's the prototype here. Light skin, also not me. And might I add, not even Beyonce made the cut to be an A girl. But that's fine. I go to the next category, the C girls. The casting call reads, "These are African American girls, can't have extensions, must be medium to light skin toned." Now, maybe back when I lived in Boston in the middle of the winter, could I get away with being medium skin toned? But since I've come back to sunny California, where I spend all my free time baking in the sun, not so much. So I scroll all the way down to the last category, the D girls. The casting call reads, "These are African American girls, poor, not in good shape, must have a darker skin tone." A darker skin tone. Well, I guess that's me. A D girl. When I first read this, I felt betrayed. Any given year, there are just a handful of movies starring Black actors and actresses. Just a handful of opportunities when people can see actresses that look like me on the big screen and see that we're fierce and beautiful and desirable. So I felt betrayed when even in these small circles where I'm allowed to feel beautiful, I'm so shoved aside for those with more favorable features. Light skin, light eyes, long, soft, real hair. But the more I thought about it, the more the feeling of betrayal slipped away for a more familiar feeling of, that's just the way it is. Because in my world, this phenomenon is all too familiar. Something just as sinister and subtle as racism. Colorism, the discrimination of those with a darker skin tone, typically amongst individuals within the same racial or ethnic group. The story of colorism in the US begins with slavery. The mass rape of African slave females by white male slave masters gave birth to a cohort of mixed-race slave children. These mixed-race slaves were related to the slave masters and had more Anglo features, and were given preferential treatment and allowed to work inside the house, doing less strenuous work, as opposed to the darker-skinned slaves that had to work out in the fields, doing more laborious work. Even after slavery was abolished, whites still gave more preferential treatment to Black that had more Anglo-type features, giving them better access to jobs, housing, and education. The thing is, though, even within the Black community, Black people use skin tone and facial features to discriminate against each other. They would only allow entrance into sororities, fraternities, or elite social clubs to Blacks that were able to display Anglo-type features. They would go through a series of tests to see if you fit the bill. One well-known test was the brown paper bag test, where if you were lighter than a brown paper bag, you're in. But if you're darker than a brown paper bag, you're out. Another well-known test was the pencil test, where they would take a pencil and run it through your hair to make sure that it's straight enough that the pencil wouldn't get stuck. The last test was called the shadow test, where they would take a flashlight and shine it against your profile and look at the shadow that your profile made against the wall. And if it matched that of a typical white person's profile, you were fine. But if it didn't, you're out. Now, though these practices are no longer in effect today, the effects of them are still very much so present. I remember a common compliment I would often get in middle school and high school, often told me by other black males. It went to the effect of, "Oh, you're so pretty," for a dark-skinned girl. And it doesn't help that the media continues to place a premium on lighter skin by retouching and photoshopping the skin of actresses of color before putting them on the cover of magazines, as can be seen here, 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 and even here. Now, colorism is not just isolated to the US. Its effects are global, as best illustrated by the skin lightening and skin bleaching cream all over the world. In India and Asia alone, skin lightening and skin bleaching is a multi-billion-dollar business. Despite the harmful toxins that are present in these products, people are still willing to take the risk and use them in order to achieve what they are led to believe is beautiful. And beauty products have flocked on this insight. Well-known brand Vaseline even partnered with Facebook to come up with an app that would lighten the skin of your profile picture in order to promote their skin lightening cream. And you can't travel throughout Asia without being inundated by advertising and commercials that promise happiness and success if you could just be a little bit lighter. Studies have shown that these messages that we see at a young age have a profound effect on us. In 2010, CNN did a study where they interviewed young children, just 5, 6, and 7 years old, and asked them to place values and attributes to people based on their skin tone. Here's a clip from that study.
The smart child. And why is she the smart child?
Because she is white.
Okay. Show me the dumb child. And why is she the dumb child?
Because she plays.
Well, show me the ugly child. And why is she the ugly child?
Because she plays.
Show me the good-looking child. And why is she the good-looking child?
Because she likes skating.
These messages that we see at such a young age and these messages that we internalize, they stay with us. They stayed with me. And though I deny it and I block it out, and I say I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm accomplished, I'm beautiful, I'm here at Stanford, and I'm not a D girl. This stuff, these messages, they stayed with me. And they manifest in this voice that makes me question, makes me doubt, and makes me think, but wait, am I a D girl? It stays with me. And so now, whenever someone gives me a compliment or says, "Oh, you look nice, you look pretty," the voice fills in the rest of the sentence with, "For a dark-skinned girl." It stays with me. And it makes me question my intentions. Because even though I say that I have these extensions just for fun and that I like them, that voice says, no, you got them because you're trying to reach a beauty standard that you can actually never attain. It stays with me. Even as I go to send a simple text message, that voice in my head tells me that I should be embarrassed or ashamed when I scroll all the way to the end, to the last darkest emoji. It stays with me. But I don't want it to stay with me. And the good thing is, it doesn't have to. Because these beauty preferences that we have, they're not something we're born with. They're learned. And if they're learned, then they can be unlearned. Among us are CEOs and co-founders, directors of marketing. You all are the arbiters of what society considers beautiful by deciding who you choose to put in your advertising or who you choose to be the face of your brand. So when you have the opportunity to make that choice, make the unconventional choice. And those of us that consume these messages, we play a role too. Because the first step to change is awareness. And now everyone in this room is a little more aware and will see the world just a little bit differently. And we don't have to passively accept what society tells us to think is beautiful. We can question it, and we can challenge the status quo. Because when we do, we get one step closer to broadening the standard of beauty and creating a society where the world can see that D-girls are beautiful too. Thank you.
Food for thought. We all instinctively profile people we encounter. Are they light skinned or dark? Facial expressions, gestures, appearance. We can't help but quickly assess the person we're talking to and adjust our approach according to that instant assessment. But our views are sometimes driven by culture, not by reality. The little child who profiled attributes based strictly on skin color. We can guard against unconscious profiling, which inhibits successful acceptance of people. We can start with trust, at least in the situation. We can continue by honesty as much as is appropriate to the situation. And we can always show respect to the other person, because that respect can set the stage for the entire relationship. You don't have to change the entire world. You can change your own actions a little bit every day, and it will build through time. People tend to respond to the ways we treat them. You get what you give. So, shape your work, your personal life, with 3 actions. Trust, honesty, respect. You can make diversity and inclusion a reality with those 3 actions. So in summary, what we've talked about in the past few minutes is we all do 2 unconscious kinds of profiling. One kind is we choose to ignore, to not see the other person. That's profiling, like the office worker, the young woman who didn't even see the blind man. Then later she learned to see him. Or we sometimes choose to assign attributes based on appearances, like the little girl in the talk. Makes it harder to accept diversity every day when we do that unconscious profiling. So we can manage our own selves and thereby support diversity and inclusion more effectively by not ignoring people and by taking those 3 actions with everyone we meet. Here's an example from my own life that I can share with you about taking those actions: trust, honesty, and respect, even in a short 30-second relationship. Yes, even in 30 seconds, you can apply those 3 actions and improve the way you interact with others and improve your ability to handle diversity. And my story started in the streets of Cairo when I was a guest of the Ministry of Petroleum to talk about a big construction project. And I had a driver assigned to me with a car that sat in front of the King's Palace where I was staying in a Marriott hotel. And I had to go to a construction site that was somewhere in Cairo, and the driver couldn't speak English. All I could do was give him a sheet of paper with the address written on it. The driver took off, driving through the crowded, dusty, hot streets. And then all of a sudden he stopped in the middle of Cairo. And he went like this. What do you mean, like this? What is that? That's Cairo. They had about 12 million people in it, so he was waving at 3 million of them right there. And I got out of the car. I didn't know what to do next, except I stopped in front of the first person I saw on the street. And this was a man with long, shaggy beard and long, shaggy hair and ragged clothes. He didn't smell too clean, and he didn't look too clean. But that was the guy in front of me. So, I started with truck. I stepped up to him and I said, "Sir, do you speak English?" I'd expected him to say, no. But instead he said, "Yes, of course I speak English." I couldn't believe it. So then I said, "I don't know where I'm going, but I'm trying to find this piece of paper here." He looked at the piece of paper and he said, "See that building over there, that tall building under construction?" He said, "You go over there, there's a freight elevator on the outside of the building. It'll take you up to the 12th floor. The 12th floor has a plywood shack in the middle of it. You go there, that's the construction office you want." And I said, "Thank you very much, sir." He said, "You're welcome." He turned and walked away. So that all took about 30 seconds. There you see those three actions. I trusted him. I was honest with him. I respected him. And he gave me back the same trust, honesty, and respect. And I got to my appointment on time. So it's a formula for three actions. They work all the time. Diversity and inclusion involves many things, but it all starts with you and me. So thanks for being here. Come back and join us for our next talk about diversity and inclusion.